You're probably expecting me to say something like, but nah, that ain't it since we all know about post-nut clarity, so I'm gonna break this into categories, starting off with oddly pleasant sensations. So you know when you're eating popcorn and suddenly a kernel gets stuck in your gums? Yeah, it's not pleasant, but you know what is? My mom! Okay, that was a bad joke. But when it finally comes out, it's truly one of the best feelings in the world. Alright, I'm gonna try to get this out. Yo, bro, help me, please. And for all of us who experience a cold winter, that first day that it's warm out again is truly something of beauty. Then if on top of that there's a light breeze, it becomes of a transcendental nature, and in that moment you ascend.
Yo, what are you doing here? Get back down to the video.
Being a child, you didn't even need to have a good childhood to be nostalgic.
I think it has something to do with having a brain that isn't fully developed, which changes the nature of thinking. You think less about everything, and so it makes it much easier to live in the moment, and forget about the past and future to come, leaving behind a big part of what causes worry, which I'd assume causes much of the joy.
Yippee-ki-yay!
Then we have immediate joy for a later pain, starting with a hot shower. In the moment this is extremely enjoyable, but when you step out and suddenly the air is cold, and if it's a hotter time of the year you might even start to sweat, which is kinda counterproductive to the point of a shower. Then on top of all that, for me personally, it dries my skin out big time, which causes acne, makes you itchy, which honestly isn't great. Alright, time for a nice hot shower. Now on to having a major success for the first time, especially one you might have worked towards for a long time. I've done high doses of substances, but I've never felt as high as I did after that first video, which in return can lead you to being depressed, off of later videos not performing as well as the viral one. We're going to the moon! We're going to collect our unemployment checks! But this is why we should talk about dopamine-raising things, such as chocolate, alcohol, pornography, and all sorts of other things that you could imagine to raise your dopamine levels unnaturally. Pretty much all things that peak your dopamine will then make you fall below baseline, which returns back to normal with time, but then with repeated use you keep lowering below baseline, leading to things such as depression. And the longer the cycle goes on, the longer the recovery to baseline takes.
We have a rat, and you see there's a wire, and then there's this electrode that's actually going to the reward circuitry of the rat. And the rat has its little paw on a lever, and whenever it hits that lever, it sends just enough electricity to the reward circuitry to stimulate it. Now, what will happen is this rat will just keep hitting the lever, and hitting the lever thousands of times an hour until it drops. It won't stop to eat, sleep, have sex, or even take care of the pups. It'll give up everything just to press that lever. As we know, this behavior is not unlike some serious drug addicts. Here's another experiment. They take the same rat and they have an electric grid between the lever and the rat. So the rat has to feel painful shock in its little paws to go over to the lever and press it. Well, the rat will actually cross the bridge and endure the shock. But if you take the rat and put an electric grid between them and food, they will not cross the electric grid. They will not undergo shocks to eat food.
And I've personally struggled with addiction myself, and the one method that I found to work exceptionally is to wear a rubber band around your wrist 24/7 and snap yourself every time you think about it. Depending on the severity of the thought is how hard you should snap yourself, but that's a key part, every time you think about it, not every time you do it. Since once you take action towards the addiction, it becomes a losing battle. It should also be mentioned that I believe that the will to change is important, since if you're not really interested in changing, you won't. I think you should also journal towards what leads to said problem, you should do meditation, and honestly psychedelics helped me, but I'm not going to recommend that. You should take a hit of that vape. Oh nah. And here we are with the cruel joke of life. Immediate pain for later satisfaction, starting off with laying down after a long day. I'm a firm believer that we humans were designed to work, so when you live a life of laziness, it ends up having a damaging effect. Everything will weaken, your body, brain, and mind. And the harshest thing is that there is a recent study finding that there's a part of the brain that grows and shrinks based on if you do things you don't like. They believe this to be the part of the brain that is in control of your will to live. I just worked a 12-hour shift. Straight to bed with me. Now here's one that is extremely rewarding, even though it's a long and painful journey. We have working out. I specifically mean in order to gain muscle mass, since I was at one point nearly anorexic and I've since gained 30 plus pounds of muscle, and I'll admit, sometimes when I go to the bathroom I'll stop to check my physique since it's a real mood booster to see the progress made, which is also why you should always document the journey. Oh man, I sure do hate to see mirrors. Let's go! So we covered hot showers. Well, let's take a look at the cold ones. So if you ever taken one, I'm sure you understand it's not very enjoyable. And if you're anything like me, you will max out the cold and end up having to do some controlled breathing just to push through it. But once you get out, the air feels warm, you're so much more alert, and then on top of that, it's great for your skin since it tightens your pores and it doesn't dry it out. Definitely worth it if you have the willpower. Alright, here goes nothing. Yo, look at all this ice. Now for overall life satisfaction. Getting in a flow state, that complete absorption into what you're doing, where you just lose track of time completely, which as time goes on and the dopamine tolerance increases, I believe these will go away completely or only be reserved for scrolling through short form content.
Yo, they really should have focused.
You ever walked into a situation with low expectations, but then it exceeded them by a lot? Now that's a great feeling, so I would just say keep your expectations low, but in reality you should take it a step farther and have none. Judgment is often a route to misery in of itself. Hey bro, there's this party I heard it's gonna be lame, but wanna go anyways?
Hey, let's do it. I got nothing else anyways. Yo, this party is crazy.
Something of importance is the low dopamine life. Let's say a 5 out of 10 is the average dopamine baseline. But if you deprive yourself of high hitting dopamine things, suddenly that baseline becomes lower. And I've even gotten to the point of just the feeling of having skin being blissful, which I'd say requires a dopamine baseline closer to a 2 to 3 out of 10. Yo bro, how do you work so hard?
What do you mean? This is the most fun thing I do all day?
Now onto having a mind unburdened. Have you ever been done with work or school, but it's still in your mind, or something else happened but you can't let go of it? That's what I call being burdened. And one of the biggest skills to ever hold in life is the ability to let go. I learned that one from psychedelics. When you take a high dose and resist the experience, it becomes a nightmare. But the second you accept it is when it suddenly becomes a lovely experience. I'm sure the same goes for life.
Bro, life's just purely suffering. I mean, look at that.
Well, that might be true, but it is what it is, so I might as well accept it and play with what's available. Something you might notice is a lot of these are in regards to breaking through something difficult or annoying, which I believe is a lost art since a lot of people don't do difficult things, which is a shame since it's rewarding beyond anything else. When you find yourself on the other side of seemingly impossible mental blocks, it feels like evolution. One down, let's go, another one. Now into something so foreign to the average person and quite honestly downright strange to me as well. Something I've noticed in deep states of meditation when I and everything else become one of the same is there's this indescribable essence of love that seemingly is underlying throughout the whole universe. And I'll be honest, I don't know what we are or what's going on, but I just want you guys to know it's gonna be okay. And feel free to leave a like and click this video right here.